Is it 7 for everyone else? Okay, then I will call the meeting to order. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the City of Waverly, and it's June 3rd, 2021. So I will call the meeting to order. My computer is being a little ornery tonight, but hopefully it doesn't kick out. Isaac, you gonna do roll call? Oh, he's got Kate. Hold on, I'm having technical difficulties. So I think we have to wait on Isaac. I wonder if this will be our last meeting remotely.
Yeah. That's going to be my question.
Council has kind of left it up to each commission to make the decisions on that. P&Z being one that's typically broadcast, I think they would prefer that you were in chambers so that they could use the TV stuff that we have in chambers for it.
I think my computer just is doing something really, really strange.
Have they made any changes to the council chambers?
I've not been in to see yet, so I don't know. They were talking about putting, possibly putting dividers between the seats for the council. I know they were going to move the public comment microphone to the middle of kind of in front and center, as opposed to being right by where Bill usually sits. But I don't know about the other, and then probably some spacing on the chairs a little bit too. But beyond that, I haven't been in yet, so I'm not sure.
Thanks, Dan.
I'm going to mute. I think I may have to switch devices or restart this one. Seems Isaac is not here yet. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
All right, well, I have to log off for a minute because my computer screen went like gray. Just gray. I'll be back. I think.
Since we're in downtime, Heidi, I haven't gotten back to you, but I'm making phone calls to make sure we have a group, so I will get to you.
Sounds good.
Can you hear me? Okay, my computer went into automatic update.
Say, Kate, while we're waiting, do you know when we might be starting in-person meetings?
We were just talking about that in probably the next meeting, it sounds like. If everyone's comfortable with it, it sounds like it's kind of up to us as a group.
Okay, I don't know if we want to look at the next meeting date if anyone else has vacation plans, but the next meeting is July 1st, and I know I won't be in town or able to do that one.
Okay. Anyone else?
Anybody else?
Is anyone else going to be gone? Hearing none, but you're all muted. So if you said yes, I wouldn't know.
So are we still waiting on Isaac?
I think we are. Isaac, are you there? I just direct texted him or chatted him and didn't get an answer. It looks like he just logged out. But he's our host.
Do we have any way of knowing whether this is going to be 2 minutes or 25 minutes?
I'm going to try and email him. Maybe that'll. I just have to get the other computer running.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I apologize about that. Something is happening with my computer, so I had to do a quick audible here. So, okay, I am ready to start the meeting when you are, Kate.
Okay, well, I had called it to order and then we kind of just slowed down because you had an issue. So I think if you go ahead with the roll call, we're good.
All righty. Kate Payne.
Here.
Doug Benschoter. I see you.
Oh.
Yeah. Rich Dane. Mary French.
Here.
Stephanie Garner.
Here.
Dave Huser. Here. Kathy Olson. Heidi Solheim.
Here.
Perfect.
And Isaac, if you didn't call, my connection might have froze up, but Doug Benschoter is online.
Okay, I think everyone's getting really tired of Zoom calls. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda as presented. Anybody want to put a motion?
This meeting is being recorded.
I move, so move.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? none, all in favor of approving the agenda, say yes.
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 Any no's? Okay, agenda's approved. Next thing on the agenda is the minutes from our last meeting.
I move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes from May 6th, 2021, say yes.
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 Anyone want to say no? Sounds unanimous to me. All right, the next thing on our agenda is a public hearing for, hold on, I gotta scroll up here, or try to. Okay, so the first thing on is a public hearing for the rezoning request for parcel ID 0533300012 and parcel ID 0533300010 from A1 agricultural to M2 heavy industrial. Isaac, you want to fill us in on what's going on here?
Yeah, so the applicant for this rezoning request is Kroll. They are looking to relocate. As I'm sure many of you know, they are currently located in a fairly residential zone right there in the middle of town. They're looking to move out here. Right now, the properties are zoned agriculture. They're currently being used for an ag use. However, this is right next to our North Industrial Park. For what they're looking to do, which is the same thing that they're doing at their current site, they do need to be M2 heavy industrial. We can see that this Waverly Plastics Company, that's actually zoned M2. Then the rest of this shown in this picture is M1. We have some M1, M2 mix in this North Industrial Park. Future land use map shows this as a commercial industrial mix. So future land use fits with what they're looking to do. From a staff perspective, we think that this is a great move. We think it gives them great access to 218, so they can pretty much access wherever they need to do work at. It also gets them out of a already developed residential zone. So staff's recommendation is to approve this rezoning request.
Questions or other discussion from the group? I have a couple of questions. So concrete trucks coming and going?
Hold it, Kate.
Yeah.
You open up the public and then we close the public hearing.
Sorry.
And then commission talks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. I need, like I said, I'm not that good at this.
Say,
Okay,
careful, Dave, you might get nominated. We are doing election of officers later.
I did 10 years of this.
Okay, so then I have to officially open this as a public hearing. And Isaac, is there any comments from the public that you know of, or is there anyone present that would like to speak to this issue?
I do see that one individual is present. We have not heard anything from the public regarding this rezoning request.
Does the person from the public, is that, I don't know.
Yeah, and so the person from the public is Harlan. So Harlan, if you want to speak, now would be the time to do so. If you don't feel the need to, then you don't need to either, so.
All right, so hearing none. All right, so do I close the public hearing before we have a discussion?
Yes.
Okay, so hearing no comments from the public.
Excuse me, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is new to me too, this is Harlan Taylor. And yeah, like Isaac said, we want to move out to get out of town and move out of town, and there's not a lot of places in Waverly for us to move, and this kind of fit their plan there, your plan. So that's where that's kind of the only spot we could find that'd be suitable, probably. So I guess I'd answer any questions if you have them. And we'd be doing basically the same process we're doing now, and we're going to reclaim concrete there also. But it's just we need to move our stuff out of town, and that's our plan.
Are you going to close the other site?
Yes, we will.
How much concrete truck traffic comes and goes from there?
Well, it's certain days there's a lot. Other days there's hardly nothing. It's seasonal, of course, and I don't have a number on that. A yearly number I could come up with, but like I say, it's seasonal through the summertime and spring and fall. In the winter, there's not very much.
Sure, that makes sense. It's concrete.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions? Harlan, do you have anything else you'd like to ask or say?
I don't. I guess we want to get when it'll take some time to get all the planning, and it's quite a process for all the permitting and everything. And we do this. We kind of got a plan with our plans, how we build them and how they look. And I think I gave Isaac a copy of that, possibly. I don't. And it probably it'll be some time before we get moving on it with all the permitting and the planning and stuff. So I'm hoping to start next year.
This is David Huser. Do you foresee any need for any turning lanes or anything out there, or as far as for traffic and so forth, for busy times when you're moving truck traffic in and out?
So, Dave, I'm not sure if you were directing that question to me or Harlan. Mike Cherry, the Public Works Director, he did kind of review that. He doesn't think that it'll be an issue on that site. He thinks that there's a couple of good locations where they can put a driveway where they've got good line of sight both directions. And he thinks it's far enough off that curve that it should give any trucks plenty of time to get out. So from a staff perspective, it's something that we did look at, but we don't have concerns about.
All right, thank you, Isaac. It was just something I kind of thought of when I was looking through this here the other day.
So. Is there anyone else who wants to comment before we close the public hearing? Hearing none, then I will close the public hearing and open it up to discussion with the Planning and Zoning Commissioners for further discussion as needed. Anything anyone has questions or wants to talk about?
It seems to me as that this is in line with our long-term plan, and just getting that out of the middle of town would be a good move.
Yeah, I think it is a better location. I am a little worried about traffic because of trucks coming through and around the curve and across 5th Avenue Northwest. But concrete trucks are big and heavy.
But they've been using that route already, leaving their existing.
Yeah. I feel a little awkward in this conversation in that the school district is looking at a property nearby here, and I'm involved in that. So I think I'm going to abstain from voting on this. I think that's the right thing to do.
Are you abstaining because you think this truck traffic and the school are going to have kind of, or there's going to be some concerns about that truck traffic by there?
Well, there'll be, I think there'll be a fair amount of school traffic coming in off of 5th. If it's not set in stone about the school, obviously they haven't closed on this, none of that's done. There's no traffic study yet. But I'm just a little concerned that there will be school traffic in the future. Yes, so that I'm a little concerned because I know what's going on with the school there. And I think that adding concrete trucks to the mix concerns me a little bit, especially when parents are lining up to turn left into the site.
Well, I feel like my feeling is that, these guys are in here first. The school is still trying to decide what they're going to do to turn this down because the school might come in there. I think the school needs to, if this is approved, school needs to look at that and make their judgments accordingly.
Well, this is the first time that I think that anyone from the school district has heard about this. So this is all news for them. I mean, as far as I know, as their architect, it's the first time I've heard it. I don't know what they've heard.
So if you recuse yourself, do we still have enough people to vote?
We will have 5 members, so we will still have a quorum.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? Otherwise, I'll move the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend the rezoning request of the identified properties in Southwest and Northwest Waverly to City Council.
Heidi, I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any no's? And Vice Chair is abstaining from voting.
This is Harlan, and I thank you. And if there's any questions or some concerns down the road, let me know. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
The next thing on the agenda is rezoning. It's item number 2 under E. I'm having scrolling issues. God, it's not a good tech night for me. Rezoning request for multiple properties abutting to or containing the dry run. Isaac, you want to fill us in?
Yeah, okay. So after the 08 flood, the city made a lot of different improvements to Waverly to essentially take a lot of properties out of the floodplain. One of those improvements was in putting in the dry run. In doing so, there were multiple properties that were incidentally rezoned or properties that should have been rezoned and weren't. So we're now going back through and we're correcting those issues. So this is the aerial. This is showing every single property. There's some properties in here that are highlighted. They're not being rezoned. I'll go over that here in just a second. But these are pretty much all of the properties that are going to be rezoned in one shape or another. So most of these properties are owned by the city. There are a couple that are owned by, there are residential properties owned by residential individuals. So what we did, we sent out a letter to them. It looked like this. It was personalized to each individual property, but it identified the property owner as well as what they're currently zoned, and then also identified what we would like to rezone the property to. So what we base that off of is what the properties surrounding them were currently zoned. So if you take a look at the zoning map, some of these properties, they're surrounded by, most of them are surrounded by R2 zones. So the majority of these residential properties will be rezoned to R2 if this goes through. And then there's a couple down here in the very southeast corner. Those are surrounded by R1 or they're close to R1. So we've elected to propose to rezone those properties to R1. Then all of the city-owned properties, those are the properties that are actually containing the dry run. We'll rezone that to U1, which is environmentally sensitive. Essentially, that zone is reserved for property that's along the river or that's located in floodplains. The dry run, you can't develop it right now. U1, you also can't develop in. So that's also what's driving us to rezone some of these residential properties is right now they can't, they wanted to build a shed. Technically, the zoning that they're in, they can't do that. So we want to correct that because it was a mistake made by the city. So I'll go through here. Like I said, these are all the properties that will be rezoned to U1. The only exception that I believe is on this map is the Irving School property. That will not be rezoned. That will stay zoned as it currently is. Then these are the properties that property that will be rezoned to R1. And then these will be the residential properties that are currently zoned U1 and will be rezoned to R2. So going back to the rezoning letter, we did require that property owners submit a consent form. It basically stated that I, the property owner, understand that you're looking to rezone my property from U1 to R2 or U1 to R1. Then they dated it and signed it. We received, go to this public hearing notice. We received consent forms from all but 3 of the properties. So Daniel and Judy Lampy at 91 7th Avenue Southeast, they did not send in a consent form. I believe Charles and Vicki Thompson at 611 3rd Street Southwest did not. Jennifer Wamsley at 520 2nd Street Southwest did not. And then Sherry Niles at 508 2nd Street Southwest did not. We included them in the public hearing notice because we wanted to make sure if they turned it in the last second that they were good to go on the rezoning, but we have not received anything from them. So we'll not continue forth in rezoning of their properties. In the letter that we sent to them, we did explain that in the future, if they needed to rezone, they would have to go through the rezoning process and pay the rezoning fee to rezone the property to whatever they'd like to rezone it to. We did receive multiple phone calls from individuals. Most of them assumed that it had something to do with the Irving School rezoning. Once I kind of explained to them what this specific rezoning was, I did not receive any comments either in favor or not in favor of this rezoning. So the city, we're acting as the applicant, so we won't give a recommendation for this rezoning request.
Okay, so that's the story, but this is a public hearing, so I will open this up to the public if there's anyone who would like to comment on this. Not sure if there's anyone present.
Yeah, I don't see anybody on the call from the public.
Isaac, did you say if you got any letters or comments?
I did not. Like I said, I received multiple phone calls, but most of them were wanting to know what this was. Once we explained what it was, I did not receive any comments either in favor or not in favor of rezoning.
Well, I guess if there's nobody present and nobody on the call that would like to speak to this, we can go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to conversation amongst the commissioners. Any questions, discussion?
Yeah, other than the letter that went out for and then the other 3 people that didn't respond, was there any other attempt to contact them?
So we sent out a letter, I believe it was about 3 weeks ago was when the original letter went out. It may have been 4 weeks ago, actually. We sent out a letter 4 weeks ago, and then after a week, we sent out another letter, and then we sent out a third letter to the remaining property owners that we'd be rezoning their property. So the individuals that were proposing to rezone their property, we sent 3 letters out to them for this meeting, asking them to fill out that consent form. And then the 4 that I named did not respond. As far as the others, within the 250 feet of all these properties, they received public hearing notices. I have a list of those recipients. So from a staff perspective, we tried our best to notify them and make sure that everybody had a chance to weigh in on this. So.
Any other discussion?
I move the Plan and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the rezoning request of the identified properties in Southwest and Northwest Waverly to City Council.
A second?
I'll second the motion, and I want to clarify, I read the wrong motion, the last motion. I read this motion because it was at the bottom of my screen. So hopefully there won't be any problem with it.
Okay, we can come back to that. Let's take a vote on this one first. All in favor of the rezoning request for the Southwest and Northwest dry run properties to City Council? All in favor, say yes.
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 Anyone want to say no? Sounds unanimous to me, and therefore passed. Okay. Isaac, do you want us to redo that previous vote and read it properly?
I think we're okay, but just to be certain, let's go ahead and redo the motion. I had Dave Huser making the motion and Heidi Solheim seconding it. So.
Dave, you want to read it again? Did you get it right this time? I didn't mean that to
Move the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend rezoning request for parcel ID 0533300012 and parcel ID 0533300010 from A1 agricultural to M2 heavy industrial to the City Council.
And Heidi, I'll second again.
Okay, all in favor say yes.
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 Yes. Any no's?
Yes.
Any no's? Okay, motion passes.
I apologize for that screw up.
We'll forgive you this time, Dave. All right, thank you. Moving on, regular business. The next thing on the agenda is a plat of survey for parcel Q. Isaac, you want to tell us the story on this one?
Yes, okay, so this highlighted parcel is the parcel that we're splitting off of. So essentially, they're going to come off of Fairholme Drive and then just with the eastern property line, just extend it straight north and then just kind of make a clean cut on it. So plat of survey, this is what the parcel Q is going to look like. So the ingress egress easement that is currently in place, that easement is used, go back to the aerial here. So this residential property, this parcel ID that ends in 18, so they actually access their property from that ingress egress, and then it's actually curb and guttered all the way down to their driveway. So I'm not sure why that didn't just become a city street, but right now it's ingress egress. And then the applicant, Robert Drosty, he will continue to use that to access the rest of his agricultural land. And then also he's got agricultural agricultural land behind this property that he'll access off of. He also has access off of Bremer Road, but my understanding is that they like to access off of this ingress egress. So the plan for the actual parcel, he has a buyer that it's contingent upon this parcel being approved, and then it's currently zoned A1, so then we'll see this again. The plan is, if everything goes according to plan, we'll see this again in July for a rezoning to R1. So the plan is that he just wants to build a single family house on this. It'll access off of Fairholme Drive. That's talking to Public Works. That's what our Public Works Director would want. He'd like to have it off of Fairholme Drive and not off of Bremer Road. Going back to the aerial map, there is a shed on the property right now. Drosty, the applicant, he is currently in the process of removing that shed. So that shed will be removed from the property before it's handed over to the potential buyer. So staff's recommendation is to approve the plat of survey.
Any other questions from Commission or want to make a motion?
And move the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the plat of survey to create parcel 2 to City Council.
Second.
All in favor say yes.
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 Any no's? Motion passes. Moving on to the next regular business item, plat of survey for parcel G, which is move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend the plat of survey to create parcel G. So Isaac, fill us in what's going on here.
All right, so this parcel is actually located in Bremer County, but as you can see, it is actually bordering the city limits. So we're going to review this. Essentially, the owner of it, Wood Farm LLC, my understanding is that he just wants to carve off the piece of property where the house is. And again, my understanding is that the plan is to give the house to a son, I believe. And then they're going to maintain the rest of the property. So this is what the parcel will look like. As you can see, there's a house and there's a building currently on the proposed parcel. That's where the son, again, to our understanding, will live. Ingress egress easement to Fern Avenue. So this parcel will actually create, so it's kind of isolated, but going back to the aerial map, there's an existing driveway, so that ingress egress will just contain the existing driveway to Fern Avenue. Again, topography wise, our understanding is that most of this property is not usable for anything else, whether it's topography or floodplain. There's not really any changes in the use of the property, but again, it's within the 2-mile review, so that's why it's before us today. So staff's recommendation is to recommend approval.
Any questions from the Commission? Would somebody like to make a motion? You guys all muted?
I'll make the motion to approve or recommend the plat survey to create parcel G to the City Council.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
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 Any no's? Hearing none. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, that takes care of regular business. Old business, is there anything, Isaac? It's empty on the agenda.
I do have one piece of old business. So we heard the rezoning request for the Irving School at last month's. So staff has decided to pull that from the agenda. We are reconsidering what we're wanting to do with that property. So right now we're going to pull the rezoning. We're not going to do anything with it. There's still discussion that there might be something in the future, but for the time being, it's going to remain as it is. That being said, the plat of survey for that is still going forward because we'd like to identify that property as well as cut off the pieces that are in the dry run. So kind of separate those two pieces. So I just want to give the commission an update on that, that rezoning request and the plat of survey.
Okay, thank you for the update. New business, election of officers. Who would like to volunteer to be the new chair? Would somebody like to nominate somebody to be the new chair? You're all muted, which is not going to help move this along.
Kate, I think you're doing a great job as vice chair and kind of has groomed you to the role of chair.
That's a lovely endorsement, Heidi, but I would feel that I must decline the recommendation because I honestly feel that I have too much on my plate to really dig through this stuff every month. And I'm a little uncomfortable with that level of requirement. I'm happy to stay on as the vice chair, but I would really appreciate somebody else stepping up and being the regular chair.
I'm wondering.
Hey, Mary, would you be interested, Mary?
Currently, I am up to my eyeballs in a couple of other organizations and don't think I can really do the time here. But I was wondering about Doug.
Doug, did you hear that? Do we have to have them agree? I mean, he's kind of here.
Hey, Doug, would you be interested? Can you hear?
Somebody chat. There we go.
Yeah, I'm on. It's hard. My internet connection right now at this hotel is not very good, so I'm just getting back and forth. But, you know, just because I joined so recently, I'm not sure I'd be a good candidate for it.
I think you'd be great.
Doug, I don't think that your more recent joining, maybe that's a good thing. I mean, the main thing is you've got a whole group of people behind you. And I think the big thing is running just an organized meeting.
I'm sure there's a copy of Robert's rules sitting on the counter in the council chambers.
Maybe I could, you know, this is Doug again. I don't know how good the transmission's coming through because it's kind of sporadic here. But if you gave me a week or two to think about it.
Isaac, do we have to do it tonight?
If the commission really feels like we should postpone it till next month, I think that that's something that we can do. Although David, that might take you off the hook for getting nominated for something. So just a heads up there. So
actually, I think Dave Huser would be an excellent choice.
Oh, we're gonna have two Daves on this board. This is gonna get a little confusing here.
You know, Doug, it's not that. You know, I did chairman for probably about 10 years, I think it was. It's not that bad. And as Kate just said, it's just, you know, all you do, or Mary, I guess, said it, you're just running the meeting. You don't have to dig into it totally. You learn along the way. And I think you'd be good at it. But I mean, I'd make a motion to table until next meeting if you'd like a few weeks to consider it. So.
And let's do that. Let's do that.
Well, I move it that we table it till next meeting.
Second, anybody have a second?
Maybe I can second.
Okay, all in favor say yes.
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 Yeah.
Great.
All right, I just have one other piece of new business. He's not on the commission yet, but he will be appointed next Monday at the city council meeting. David Larson, he's joined us tonight. I sent him the invite just so he could sit in on the meeting, kind of see how things are run. So Dave, if you've got anything that you want to say to the commission, I'd say go for it now, so.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Isaac. Hello, everyone. I guess you've seen me sitting here kind of nodding my head a little bit. I'm Dave Larson. Been in Waverly about 4 years, Iowa my whole life. So I guess I know the Iowa nice and how we like to run things a little bit. I have a lovely wife and 2 daughters here in Waverly with me. So I'm up on the northeast corner of town, in the city limits, in Ward 2 there. Just kind of excited and trying to figure out a way to contribute. So I look forward, and please have a little patience. I have been in a ton of meetings. I understand the frustration with Zoom. So in person is good as well. So we'll see how that pans out. So
What brought you to Waverly, Dave?
So I've been in the Cedar Valley for almost 15 years. Waverly, we made our choice up here we were really looking for an acreage when we were down in Waterloo. We just lived in town, found an acreage, knew the area, looked at a lot of houses up here in advance, and found a place and knew we wanted this area as one of our top ones anyway, and it just worked out perfect about 4 years ago now. So
Okay. Well, welcome.
Well, thank you. Any other questions? Shoot, try to answer them at least. Good. Thanks.
All right. So you will be official at our next meeting. Is that how this will work?
Yes, that is correct.
Which means he can then vote for the new chairperson?
That's right.
Can he be nominated to be a chair or vice chair at that meeting?
He can be. He's a member of the commission at that point, so.
Okay, good to know.
Let's not scare him away.
Equal opportunity board.
So I do have one other piece that just kind of escaped my mind for a second, but next meeting we will need to be in person. So the city council moving back to in person in June, that kind of, my understanding, part of it is also that it kind of screws up how we broadcast. And I don't know if we don't have the capability or if it's difficult to switch from Zoom meetings to in person back and forth, but either way, I'm told that this board needs to be in person for July. So we'll plan on being back in city council chambers for July.
So Heidi brought up earlier that the meeting is on July 1st, right before a holiday weekend. Do we have any issues with anyone being able to be in attendance so we'll get a quorum?
I can send out an email asking if there'd be a preference between 1st and 8th. I need to make sure that there's not another meeting on the 8th. But yeah, I'll look into that and I can send out an email and get a feeler for what date we'll have the best shot at a quorum or the most people attending.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
That is all I have.
Does anyone else have new business? Hearing none.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
You read my mind.
Second.
Thank you. Have a nice June.
Hey, everybody.